Welcome back to another Merle on Time watch reviews, everybody. Today I am highlighting a watch that for the very first time I really can't find any fault with this, any faults at all. Aside from things that one might dislike because of personal preference, this watch has everything you want in a field watch. This is the Islander ISL 129 from Long Island Watch, coming up now on Merle on Time. So guys, as always, I am going to do an up close and personal of this watch, and so let's deal with that right now. Alright, cue the music. Alright, that's good. The dial on this watch I would describe in the following way: crisp and clean. There is really nothing quite better for legibility on a dial like a watch with black numerals, and the bold hour markers 1 through 12 printed on the dial are perfectly sized and really stand out and pop out at you, making it very easy to tell the time with a quick glance. A prominent feature of this watch is the innovative day and date complication located at the 6 o'clock. They call this one the Day T Automatic Field Watch because of the T-shaped date window at the 6 o'clock, which has been cut cleanly into the dial so that the day and date are perfectly centered within the T. I personally love the option that they chose for this date window, as I've noticed in some field watches the addition of the date seems to, in my opinion, disrupt the natural flow and design of the watch. Take, for example, this much more expensive field watch by Hamilton. I find the date window located next to the 15 on this version looks out of place. The date window replaces the numeral 3, but look at what it does to the 24-hour numeral 15, pushing it into the center of the dial further than the rest. It just looks awkward, in my opinion. Instead of trying to squeeze in the numeral 18 or the 6, Marc decided to eliminate them from the dial, and the simple cutout of the T with a color-matched date wheel and black-colored font for the day and date really do an excellent job of keeping the flow and symmetry of the dial intact. Now let's compare this to the day-date complication on this one to the Hamilton Khaki, a watch that I was really considering purchasing. Notice on this model the number 11 and the number 1 have both been cut off, something that I personally dislike. I would rather them eliminate that from the dial, so I think what the Islander has done with their version of the field watch is fantastic. The other thing that really impressed me about this watch is the handset. The hour, minute, and seconds hand are all perfectly sized for the dial. The sword-style hour and minute hand with the syringe tip at the end both extend appropriately to their marks on the dial, and look at how that lollipop on the seconds hand runs perfectly along the inside edge of the 24-hour numerals and date window. The arrow tip also extending out to the edge of the dial. The handset was perfectly executed on this one. You have a minute track printed around the edge of the dial, which is accented with rectangles at the 3, 6, 9, and 12. And small triangles on the remainder of the 5-minute intervals at the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11, each of which have Lume, and the sword-shaped hour and minute hand are also filled with superluminova. Here's a quick shot of the Lume at full charge. We'll come back to the Lume in just a minute. The movement powering this watch is the Seiko NH36A, 24 jewel automatic movement beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour or 6 ticks per second. This self-winding movement supports hand winding and hacks so you can set the time precisely, and fully wound has a 41-hour power reserve. Okay guys, so let's talk about what else you are getting with this watch. Just go over some other basic specifications. I did cover these in the unboxing, but I'll cover them here as well. You have a 39mm case from the 8 to the 2, and this is right in my sweet spot. My sweet spot as far as the perfect size of watch for my wrist is 39 or 40 mil. Let me just give you an example. On my wrist today I'm wearing my Seiko SNZG13. Now this is a 42, maybe just over 42mm in case diameter, and you'll see from the wrist shot in a bit that this, I think, actually looks a little bit nicer on my wrist. It's just that sweet spot of size for me. It has 20mm lug width at the lugs. You have a nice downturn at the lugs, and the lug to lug length on this one is 48.5mm, and it is 12mm thick. And so this is a watch that will fit a 7.5-inch wrist like mine perfectly, and it will fit a 7-inch or smaller wrist as well, no problem whatsoever, looking great on those wrists. You do also have a screw down crown, which will provide the 100 meters, or help to provide, I should say, the 100 meters of water resistance that this watch has, which is awesome. Minimum, it needs to have 100 meters to be a decent field watch. The crown itself is branded with the Islander logo on it. It is 7mm thick, and it is really easy to grip because of the nice knurling on the crown, and the threading and the unthreading action on this crown is absolutely amazing. It's just butter smooth. There is absolutely no grittiness, no stickiness when you unthread or rethread this crown. Once you pop it out after unthreading it, you can then wind the movement by turning the crown clockwise. There is a nice distinct pop when it comes out, and then you pull the crown to the first position, nice distinct click there, and you will be able to change the day and the date. And so if you want to change the date, you would rotate the crown counterclockwise, and you can see that it changes the date, perfectly centered in that cutout. And then clockwise will change your day, and again perfectly centered in the cutout as well. Rethreading the crown, no issues whatsoever. And of course, to hack the movement to set the time precisely, you pull the crown out to that second position, and that will stop your seconds hand. And while we're at it, why don't we wind the clock forward and just watch, and you'll be able to see when the date and the day complication change over. So let's get this close to midnight. And so you can see right at about the 11 o'clock, the date is starting to turn over, and it will snap into place right there just before midnight. So that's good. And then as we continue to move forward, the day is going to go halfway at the 1 a.m. and then it is going to lock into place right at about 3 a.m. Perfect. Okay, and you also have an anti-reflective sapphire crystal covering that dial, and so that is obviously really, really nice to see. The band that it came supplied on is this nice combination of woven nylon on the top with genuine leather on the bottom. Nice to see that they included this strip of leather that is stitched on top of the nylon, covering the holes there. That will make the durability of this strap much, much better, so that the nylon won't fray as much or as easy, if at all, during use because of that leather cover there. You have a nice stainless steel brushed buckle and logo as well on there. It has a fixed keeper and a floating keeper on it. And I did have a question in the unboxing about why genuine leather on the underside as opposed to just nylon on both sides. And the reason for that, in my opinion, honestly, is for durability as well as for comfort. It wears very, very comfortably on the wrist, and you can see that it also has quick release spring bars as well, which I think needs to be included in every watch. So if you did want to switch this out to a rubber strap, if you wanted to take it swimming and you didn't want to get the leather wet per se, you can do that easily because of the quick release spring bars. So excellent job in regards to that. And the lume on this is really, really quite good. I'll show you the lume now. Okay, we're charging up the lume, and Just for your reference, Lume that does not last 5 minutes on my iPhone test when I do these is Lume that isn't good at all. Any Lume that lasts between 5 and 10 minutes is okay. 10 to 15 minutes is good, and then beyond 15 minutes, 15 to 20, you're looking at some great Lume. And so you can see that it starts off very, very bright and very, very nice, that super luminova. We'll fast forward it to the 5-minute mark, and you can see that the 5-minute markers are starting to fade out, and they will fade out by 10 minutes. And so I would consider that okay Lume on the markers. But as we fast forward to the 20-minute mark, you can still see the hour and minute hand quite clearly. So this has great Lume. The only criticism that I would add is that it would have been nice to see the Lume a little bit better on the 5-minute markers. But other than that, guys, there really isn't much that I can knock about this watch. Anything with respect to not liking this watch will just be matters of personal preference. It really is a fantastic, well-made watch. The finishing on it is quite nice as well. And you have a combination of brushed and a nice little ring of high polish going around between the top of the case and the bottom of the fixed bezel, which is also brushed. And then you also, let me just zoom in on this so that you can see it. You also have some nice circular brushing on the top of the lugs that kind of matches the circular brushing that takes place on that fixed bezel. And then the sapphire crystal is got a bit of a beveled edge to it as well. And this provides a bit of gleam from bright light and sunlight, just giving it a little bit of flare on your wrist. So speaking of that, let's put it on my wrist now. I think you'll see the comparison between it and the Seiko SNZ G13. I love that Seiko, and it's one of my favorite watches, but I think this one wears a little bit nicer on wrist than that one does. Here it is. And here is what it looks like on my 7.5-inch wrist, and I think you can see that, at least in my opinion, this is the perfect size. 39-40 mil is my sweet spot. It just sits so nicely on top of the wrist there. This nylon leather combination on that band, the leather underside, definitely makes this thing really, really comfortable and a pleasure to wear. Marc and Ryan at Long Island Watch, they really hit it out of the park again with this one. If you like it, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can pick this one up. So that is the Islander ISL 129 Day T automatic field watch. An absolutely beautiful watch. I really have nothing negative to say about it. It has been a real privilege and joy for me to have this in for review. Unfortunately, I have to send it back. I wish I could buy this one, but the money tree just isn't blooming for me right now. Otherwise, I would definitely be keeping this. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this watch. I really do think it is an incredibly good alternative to the Hamilton Khaki field watch line, and certainly you're getting a really, really excellent watch for your money, and that's what you can expect from the gang over at Long Island Watch. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the thumbs up button for me. Please do leave a comment. I love interacting with you in the comments below. And remember, whenever you leave your house, you must have a great looking piece to wear on your wrist, like this Day T Islander field watch. And remember, wherever you're going, you need to get there on time. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you in the next one.